And welcome to episode 16 of the Red Mountain Express. I am Blake Westbrook, and I'm joined as always by Matthew Joyner. Mr. Joyner, how you doing, bud?
Doing good, man. What about you?
It's kind of rainy.
It's a little bit gloomy outside.
I mean,
a little bit of Hurricane Nate coming in.
I'm going to tell you what, the wind was not too bad. I mean, we had some gusts, but the roads this morning were awful. And I know probably shouldn't have been on the roads, but I did. We went to church this morning, but the roads were awful.
I guess I underestimated it. We were in Tennessee, and we had a lot of rain this morning, but I didn't really see much wind. I mean, I say this morning, it really rained up until about the time we left, about 4:30.
I mean, it had some wind to it, but it wasn't. I mean, we had some gusts. Don't get me wrong, and
Yeah.
I think the Gulf got battered pretty significantly, but nothing too bad. I don't think.
Nate made landfall in Biloxi. Is that?
I think they made two. It made two landfalls.
Yeah,
One was in
you're right.
Louisiana near the Mississippi River.
Okay.
The second time was during Biloxi, where I think a casino or two got flooded.
Yeah, I haven't seen how bad the damage is yet in those areas. Really hoping that the damage has not been bad anywhere.
It moved
that everybody's
quickly.
safe.
Yeah,
I know by the time
quickly.
it made landfall, it was pretty weak.
Yeah.
So other than a little bit of rain, I hope everything else is pretty smooth.
Yeah. Was that the second one that's made landfall in near our area? Yeah, that's come through. Talk about we had.
You mean like historically or recently?
Recently.
Okay.
Not historically.
I was about to
I
say.
can name like 5 historically.
No. All right. So, what'd you do this weekend?
I went to the Bluff Park Art Show.
How was it?
And it was great. I messaged you, and you were out of town, and I was upset about that. But no, it was good. I think it was the 54th annual. It's put on by the Bluff Park Art Association, which I think was originally formed to expand the library at the Bluff Park Elementary School years ago. But it's a really, really cool art show. They have like nearly 150 artists from all over the country. It's the first Saturday in October. My wife and I and our little baby, we went and actually bought a few things, got some Christmas ornaments because, Matthew, it's the most wonderful time of the year.
Halloween.
It's Christmas, man.
It's not Christmas.
It is.
We can't have this debate every week from now till Christmas.
Get ready. We're going to. But no, I got some Christmas ornaments from artists out of Franklin, Tennessee. So that kind of just shows you how far people come in for this show, or for this art show. And there was a ton of people out there. There was the hot chicken folks were out there. I think Tip Top Grill was out there. They had a bunch of food. I don't think they do the jazz band anymore. I could be wrong because we went early to kind of beat the rain, but they used to have like a jazz band out there, and they didn't this time.
I was out there last year, and I don't remember the jazz band.
I think they might have cut that a couple years ago, and I don't know why. I enjoyed it. I think it was really, gave some flavor to it.
I wonder if it's a space thing. If
it could be. I mean,
more vendors.
Look, they're packed into that park.
Yeah, they really are.
But it was really, really fun. We enjoyed it. We got there before the rain got there, and I think everybody else had the same idea. And it's really, really cool, too, because you could park at certain areas in Hoover, and they'll bus you in and then bus you out. So that was really fun. What did you do this weekend?
So my wife and I went to Nashville this weekend, Friday night, at the Bridgestone Arena. We saw Ed Sheeran.
The guy from Game of Thrones?
Yeah, he got his start on Game of Thrones, and now look at him. He's selling out the Bridgestone Arena 2 nights in a row. It was packed out in there.
Would you go see Littlefinger at the Bridgestone Arena?
To
get his throat slashed? Would you see it
nah, I've already seen it. No, so that was a great concert. We actually saw Ed Sheeran at the Bridgestone Arena 2 years ago. This show, the stage was a little bit different. He had some like new effects and some new stuff going on. Of course, some of the new songs on his album. I don't know if you're a fan.
I like some of his stuff. I mean, I'm not a Ed Sheeran fan, but
yeah, I'm not nearly as big of a fan as my wife is.
I mean, how many tears did you shed when he sang "Thinking Out Loud"?
He did. Did he sing that?
He did not sing that. How could he not sing that? That's like his signature song.
No, he's got a bunch of signature songs. Yeah, I don't remember.
See, like I said, I'm not a big Ed Sheeran fan.
No, it was good. It was really good. It was a packed out arena. James Blunt opened for him. A lot of people probably don't really know who James Blunt is.
That's You're Beautiful song.
He's got that one song that everybody knows.
It was everybody's ringtone in college.
2004.
Yeah, I mean, if you went to a bar where somebody was playing acoustic.
You're beautiful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, Rod Stewart sings this like really good. And then you're like, no, it's a guy named James Blunt.
Yeah.
Like, even better.
Yeah, he made a joke on stage. He was very self-aware. He's like, I know you guys aren't here for me. I know you guys only know this one song. I'm not going to play this one song.
Oh.
I'm going to play a bunch of other songs. He did eventually play it, and of course, everybody sang along. I think he actually played that song so he could rest his voice because he could stop singing, and the whole rest of the crowd there was singing it for him. So that was a good break for him. No, he was good though, and of course Ed Sheeran was great. We had a great time. traffic in Nashville is terrible. It's making me really think this whole Amazon HQ2 thing. I don't know if I want all that traffic coming in. Oh my God.
Yeah, but do you want the 50,000?
Yeah, I don't know. We sat in traffic at about 5 o'clock. Is about the time we got to the outskirts of Nashville, and we sat in traffic for about an hour and a half. We were 20 minutes away from downtown and just had to stop in traffic.
Were you able to go down Broadway and that whole area around the Bridgestone Arena? In Nashville?
We didn't this time. This is our third or fourth trip to Nashville together, and then of course I think separately we've been to Nashville several times. So we didn't really do a whole lot of sightseeing. We came in, went to the concert, and went back to our hotel room, went to bed, because Saturday morning we woke up and had to drive to the name of the city suddenly escapes me, but in Tennessee, where my brother and sister-in-law live. We had a birthday party for my niece, who just turned 2.
A lot of birthday parties lately.
Yeah,
children.
1, 2, 3, 4 nieces and 2 nephews, so that's a lot. So did that, and then my wife's high school reunion, 10-year reunion, was Saturday night, so we went to that there in Fayetteville, and that was a good time. It's always interesting coming into one of those things as a stranger, where you know literally nobody but the one person you came with. But everybody was really nice. We all had a great time.
Did she have a big class?
I think her class was about the size of mine. I was at Shelby County High School. We had about 300, 400 people, and I think their class was about 300. Maybe 100 showed up. But we left about 9 o'clock because we wanted to go home and go to bed. But yeah, there was a good number there. It was a good time. And woke up this morning and hung out with the in-laws, and brother-in-law and sister-in-law came out and hung out some more. Got to see our niece again, and we just had a good time and came home about 4 o'clock after the storms had kind of rolled out. So
I love Nashville. It's a fun town.
Yeah, Nashville's great.
I went to the Ryman Auditorium one time and saw Levon Helm. If you don't, for those who don't know who Levon Helm is, he was the drummer of a band called The Band, and their signature song is "The Weight," along with "The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down," and I could go on and on because it's my favorite band. And then I actually went through there one more time with my brother when we were driving to Denver, and we stopped in Nashville because he wanted just to have some fun, and we actually went by the Ryman again, and they let me get on stage and actually go to the back of the stage and everything. It was really, really cool.
Did you stand on the star?
I did, man. It was, God, it is one of the best venues of music, I think, out there.
It's really great. I saw the Civil Wars there.
Oh man, I bet that was really good.
They were awesome. Then they brought Taylor Swift out for a song. That was great.
Love me some Tay-Tay.
I don't ever say that again. So yeah, I love the Ryman.
Was this country music Taylor Swift, or was this pop music Taylor Swift?
It was still more country music. They actually brought her out for the song they did for the Hunger Games soundtrack with her on it.
Oh yeah, Safe and Sound. That's a great song.
Yeah.
That's a really good song.
So yeah, she was still more country.
And I have never seen a Hunger Games movie. I just know that song was really good.
Yeah, it was really good.
When we were there, he brought out, I think Levon Helm brought out like Sheryl Crow, the Old Crow Medicine Show, a bunch of folks, because I think it was his first concert in the South since his throat cancer.
Oh yeah,
and he actually got his singing voice back, and it was really, really good. But yeah, Nashville's a fun town. What I hope Birmingham is striving to be, because I think that's kind of a town that Birmingham can be.
Something I noticed. So I was looking around, like we were in a hotel room, and I was looking around the skyline, and I was kind of getting, it had been a while since I got to actually look at Nashville from that perspective. We were like on the 7th, 6th floor, and you kind of see the skyline a little bit better. And the only thing I noticed about Nashville that's way different than Birmingham is the roads, like their road system around the city center. It's just built so much differently than we have.
In a good way or a bad way?
I don't know.
Birmingham's more of a grid. Is it not a grid?
So the area we were in right there, our hotel was only we were on 5th and Church, I think. So we were just a few blocks down from the Ryman and then the Bridgestone Arena. That area right there is what I'm looking at specifically. I don't know if that's, if there's a different area that's more downtown that has a grid, but this is kind of where the interstate came in. There were several intersections meeting together. It had, I don't know, a different design to it. I can't put my finger on it. It did not look like our grid system that we have here. It looked a little bit more complicated. It looked older. I don't know.
Nashville's an old town. I mean,
for
not
sure.
older than Birmingham. But good time in Nashville, though?
Yeah, great time.
Good. Well, on the football front, I know we have to talk about it since we do live in the South. Alabama beat Texas A&M 27-19. They kind of had the game won and just was kind of coasting, and then they had a turnover that led to a touchdown. And then there was a blocked punt in the end zone that went out of the back for a safety, and then Texas A&M got another touchdown with like 15 seconds left, and They tried an onside kick, which wasn't successful, but Alabama won 27-19. Auburn destroyed Ole Miss as we all thought they would, 44-23. God, their Ole Miss is just a bad team, man.
Yeah. So I'll be honest, I didn't get to watch the game. We were busy. I saw some highlights. Listened to a little bit on the radio. 44-23, man. Kerryon Johnson killing it. Stidham looking better. Overall, a good game.
I was watching the first half. It was like 35-3, and I was like, well, this is over. So I was kind of shocked that Ole Miss scored 23, but I would have to think that that's because Auburn put in their Second Street defense, because there was no way that Ole Miss was scoring. I mean, their quarterback can be dynamic, but man, he's bad. I mean, it's just a program that's in flux right now.
Right.
Yeah.
How about UAB for the homecoming game?
I'm gonna tell you what, I caught the very end of it. For those who didn't see it, UAB beat La Tech for homecoming 23-22. They blocked a 29-yard field goal at the very end to preserve the win at Legion Field. I'm going to tell you right now, they have improved to 3-2 on the season. Vegas had them, I believe, at 2.5 wins this year. So they've already exceeded that expectation. They're second in Conference USA's Western Division. And next week, Middle Tennessee State comes to town at 5:30. I think Middle Tennessee is only favored by 3. I'm sure that number's going to tighten as we get along through the week. Could be a tough game, but
what do we need? We like 3 wins.
3 wins, and you're talking about a bowl game.
Yeah.
And this is a big story. I mean, you see a program, and I think I've said this before, that has come back from the dead, that is seeing success almost immediately. You look at other programs that have done that. It's a different situation, but SMU, they got the death penalty. I mean, and they're still struggling. And that's not the case for UAB. And I think that's because, one, Bill Clark's a really, really damn good coach. There's no doubt about that. I think that people are going to come calling to Bill Clark at the end of this year. Whether he listens or not, that's going to be up to him. But I also think that there is a buy-in, not only from the players, but from the university, from the fans, from the city, that when they get behind a team, I mean, you watch out. You just don't know what else is possible. And I just think that, I mean, there is a good possibility they can get to 6 and 7 wins this year.
Yeah, I hope so. At least. And I think public support has played a huge part. I have not kept track of the numbers of people who have been attending games the last couple of games.
I think it's been steady. I'm sure they've dropped off a little bit. I mean, that's bound to happen.
It happens, yeah.
But I think if you see UAB being more and more successful, they're getting closer to a bowl eligibility, you maybe see those numbers tick up again.
Oh, for sure. And then we have, I know this is not really UAB news, we have the Magic City Classic coming up.
That's right. I think it's 2 weeks. 2 weeks, yeah.
So,
and that's always a big game. They pack that place is always packed out for that.
Yeah.
And so we'll talk about that in a couple weeks when that happens. But yeah, it's a good week for football. I will say, just as a personal note, I was glad to see Michigan and Jim Harbaugh lose to Michigan State. Just for a fact that I have a friend of mine I work with. She's a Michigan State grad. She is as a fan as I am and a grad as I am as Alabama, she is that much for Michigan State. So I give her a little shout out and say that, well, glad to see that Michigan State beat Michigan. So they owned the big house the last 2 times. But that's going to do it for our wrap-up of the weekend. We're going to take a quick break and hear from our friends at Beecham Woodworks. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some city elections that happened this past week, probably the biggest news story of the week. We'll see you in a minute. Beecham Woodworks is a locally owned and operated wood shop in Birmingham, Alabama, specializing in custom furniture and small home goods. Chris and K&M Beecham create a wide variety of unique pieces of all sizes, ranging from cutting boards to farmhouse tables. Using wood sourced from Alabama sawmills, Beecham Woodworks creates affordable, quality pieces that will be a one-of-a-kind fixture for your home. So support your local woodworker and visit redmountainexpress.com/woodworks or check them out on their Facebook and Instagram accounts. Beecham Woodworks, turning your house into a home. And we're back on the Red Mountain Express. Matthew, we had some elections this week.
Yeah, we did.
Some big elections.
Yeah, a little bit of news there.
Yeah, so this week, city council runoffs along with the mayoral runoff and school board runoffs were held. And we had some big news. I'm going to start with the city council and then work our way down and we'll end with the mayor's race. In District 2, Hunter Williams, who we've had on the show, defeated incumbent Kim Rafferty pretty significantly.
Yeah.
I wasn't shocked by this outcome because his vote total in the primary was very significant to the point where a lot of folks thought that he may exceed that 50% 50% threshold.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I think maybe Kim Rafferty has gotten some bad publicity within the district, and I know that Hunter Williams worked hard.
Yeah, I think he had a big campaign. I think that paid off for him.
If you looked in the area, I think it was the Crestline Park area where he lives, his signs were everywhere. He also is the neighborhood association president over there, so he's made a name for himself, and he got out and worked for it. Yeah. And I guess the voters saw that, and it was really positive for them.
And I know you said you weren't shocked, and I'll be honest. I mean, of course, we sat down with Hunter. Like, he had some really cool things to say. I was shocked only because Kim has been there for a while. I saw the voting numbers, back in the original vote, and I was kind of thinking that people wouldn't show up to vote for this runoff election, but I was shocked in a pleasant way. I'm glad people show up to vote. I don't care which way it goes so much as I'm glad people were out there to give their opinions there on the ballot.
And she's been there for what, 2 terms?
Yes.
Is that about right?
I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a big swing for the city council.
Yeah.
Another incumbent that got beat was Jonathan Alston for District 5. He is the city council president. He was beat by Daryl O'Quinn, who is the Crestwood North Neighborhood Association president. I'm seeing a theme here, Matthew.
Right, yeah. Okay.
And was 52-48. It was a close election. I think that Councilman Alston saw the tea leaves when I think the votes weren't even in yet, but he was giving a speech, and it wasn't necessarily a concession speech, but he kind of felt the way the wind was blowing, and I think the boxes that were in were all his, and he knew what was left were O'Quinn's. But I was very shocked by that outcome. He's a known quantity. He was city council president, very well known in the district. Has been there a while, and to get beat, I think really sent some shockwaves throughout the city.
I was less shocked by this loss or this upset, what do you want to call it, because Austin's gotten a lot of negative press here lately about the way he's spending money, like the whole cell phone bill thing, the type of car he drives,
the salary raise that the city council took.
Yeah.
He also was arrested for a DUI, I believe, this last term.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I mean, so
that's a lot of negative press. I think people pay attention to that, especially the people who vote. Keep up with that kind of news. So I kind of saw that one coming a little bit more.
I think that maybe the tension that he's had with the mayor's office maybe played into that as well.
It can't help.
Yeah, I mean, because it just looks like they're not getting along, and maybe sometimes people just kind of like, you know what, we need to start getting along. And I think you're maybe seeing that start to happen.
Right.
But I was shocked by that. I know you weren't, but I was. I thought that Jonathan Alston, like I said, known quantity would maybe have been closer than I thought, but no, he 52-48 is now in Daryl O'Quinn's seat.
What about District 9? I know there was another.
District 9 was actually John Hillard, who is the brother of a former Congressman, Earl Hillard, versus Roderick Royal, who used to have this seat a term ago. He was the councilman. He retired and then was taken over, and then he tried to run again. And this was a really close race. I mean, it was back and forth all night. But John Hillard ended up defeating Roderick Royal there at the very end. This is 2 candidates who were very well known in the district. John Hillard is part of that family where you have Earl Hillard, who Sr., who was a congressman. You had Earl Hillard Jr., who was a state lawmaker, and so you had just that name is very well known. Versus Roderick Royal, who was on the city council and who at one point was the acting mayor of Birmingham after Larry Langford was removed from office after his felony convictions. So these were 2 known quantities fighting it out. It was very, very close, but John Hillard got the nod and is going to take the seat as the District 9 councilman. The big news on the night, though, is what happened in the mayoral race. Randall Woodfin defeated Mayor William Bell. I believe it was 59-41. I mean, it was
a pretty big margin.
Yeah. I will say that I thought this would be a really close race, and I actually thought that Bell's had some momentum going into this. You had a lot of positive news with the Amazon stuff coming out, with just, he really started highlighting the initiatives he had done as mayor. But throughout the night, when you were seeing returns come in, at one point Legion Field came in, which is Mayor Bell's home box and the biggest box, and Woodfin had beat him. Yeah. And at that point, you just knew it was going to be a long night for the mayor, and it was a pretty early call.
Yeah, I feel like they called it before 10.
Yeah, it was a really, really early call. I was shocked that it was such a large margin. But we talked with Randall. He was on this podcast early on.
One of our very first episodes.
Yeah, one of our first episodes. And after we talked to him, we actually sat around and just kind of had a small conversation. And he talked about how he was going to get out the vote. Yeah. And how he was knocking on doors and he was going to do this the old-fashioned way. And, I think that this race kind of got nasty there at the end. But I also want to say that I think this is kind of indicative of people wanting to see the council and the mayor's office get along. I mean, you had, Mayor Bell and Jonathan Austin did not get along with each other. It was very public. The mayor got into a tussle with a councilman a couple years ago.
Yeah, early on in this term.
Yeah, and so I think people are kind of ready for a change, even though that I think that Mayor Bell has done some positive things for the city of Birmingham, and I think people will agree with that. But I think that now, there's the thought that maybe it's time for a younger generation to take over.
Yeah, I think there's a hope that this will be a breath of fresh air, so to speak. I think that maybe there is a younger crowd that's showing up to vote compared to years past. I think, like you mentioned, Woodfin's campaign, the way he was getting out there door to door and talking to people on the street, I think that makes a big difference. Bell's momentum was great. He's been in the news a lot lately for some of the initiatives and new businesses he's bringing in. And those are all great things that will continue to serve the city. But I don't know. There's something new here, and I think people are excited about it. I hope that this is a positive move forward. Everything looks really shiny and new right now. But, the proof's in the pudding, as they say.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see what happens over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and hopefully everything is going to keep moving forward as it has been over the last couple of years.
Yeah. Well, I will say this, and Mayor-elect Woodfin, if you are listening, if you will go back and listen to our previous episode, I asked you at the end, if you're elected mayor, would you come back on the show? And you were like, absolutely.
Yes.
Man, you can't get out of that. That's ironclad. Absolutely means yes.
We're calling that one back.
Yeah, so we'll be knocking on City Hall here soon. So there's a little bit of debate on when he'll take office. The city council will take office on October 24th. And then the mayor is supposed to take office on November 28th. Now, in an interview with John Archibald, he said that he was going to take office on October 24th when the council does. There was no debate about that. However, the Birmingham City attorneys and I think the Attorney General have both clarified that according to the Mayor-Council Act, he is supposed to take office on November 28th. So that's a little bit of debate going on. I haven't heard anything more about that. That was just kind of the comment that he made in that one story, and I haven't seen anything else. So maybe that's been resolved. If it hasn't, it will be in the news.
Oh, yeah.
So kind of look out for that, and we'll update you on that as any news progresses. So
I'm sure he's chomping at the bit to get in office and start working.
I think he said that one of the things I was really happy to see him say is that he's not going to come in with a sledgehammer. He's going to take his time. He was going to be deliberate. He was going to look at the budgets. He wanted to see what the revenue stream's looking like. If we've really had so much business move into Birmingham, where's the revenue? Mm-hmm. So hopefully he'll come in and just kind of get his feet planted, and we'll see some good things happen in the city of Birmingham. But we'll have him back on the show.
Yeah, look in your email box, Randall. It's coming.
It's coming. It's there. But that's it for the day. I mean, I think that that covers all of our bases when it comes to city council and the mayor's elections. So that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the Red Mountain Express. Please remember, you can follow us on Instagram and on Facebook. You can also go to our website, redmountainexpress.com, and subscribe to us on any of your favorite podcast apps. That's going to do it for this episode. We'll see you next week. For Matthew Joyner, I'm Blake Westbrook. Have a good week.